Todd Byerther. All right, now we're recording. Welcome, everyone. This is the Legislative Committee for the State Building Code Council for January 28th, 2022. I'm Todd Byerther. I'm on the council and I get the pleasure to chair this. Well, let's start with, we don't need to take roll. We're not taking action, are we?
We have committee action shown in the agenda,
Okay.
so we better take a roll. I don't think there will be any action based on what I have for you today, but just in case.
Let's do
So,
that.
Todd Byerther,
Yes.
I was just in parentheses. We have Annette who is hosting the meeting, and she is our new administrative assistant, and we are very happy we have her. And I told her I will do the roll call for these meetings, but you will do the council meetings. And when she asked me why, I gave you Todd as an example because I was practicing your name for 6 months, and you're still laughing at me when I say it. So,
It's dead on. It's perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that, and welcome, Annette.
okay, Jim Milbauer,
Present.
Tony Don. Tony may be late, I think. Andrew.
I'm here.
Jay Arnold. Chell Anderson. Chell will be late too. He sent an email. He has a conflict, another meeting. Phil Lemby.
Good morning, everyone. I'm present.
Morning, Phil. Welcome. So we have a quorum if we need it.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Would anyone from the public like to be recognized?
Hey, everyone, Terry Beals representing Sound Transit. Good to see everybody.
And this is Kevin Noel with Northwest Natural. I'll be leaving early, but just observing.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay. Hearing no one else. Thank you. We'll move on to item 2, review and approve the agenda. Can we hear a motion to approve, please?
I make a motion to approve the agenda. This is Jim Milbauer.
I'll second that. Phil Finley.
All right, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Or abstentions? Okay, so approved. Number 3, we'll move right into the legislative update with Stein. You gonna lead this, please?
Yes.
And Tony notes he is here now. So
My apologies. I'm here.
You're right on time. Let me share my screen. So I had something similar, well, almost the same for the council meeting. If you remember last year, I had like a spreadsheet, a table. I was trying to fit the information there, but it wasn't really a good way of showing the information. So I'll try a different format, and if you don't like it, let me know. I'm a good guy, you know, and if you give me a good advice, I will follow it. So what you have here is I will put the bills. So this one is a substitute. I already had a little bit of information for the council meeting, so it was modified. And I will keep the links updated. So when you click on the link, you can go to the Lech website, and you will have all details there. This bill have a companion bill. I don't pay too much attention on the companion bills, but I monitor the bill. So if there are major difference between these two, I will let you know. Here we'll see the title of the bill. I try to keep up with the sponsors, and I will have for you a short description going section by section. And if you are interested in this bill, then you can keep reading. If you're not, you can skip to the other one. This one is interesting because it affects the council. There are some specific requirements related to the energy code, REACH code also. The areas that are highlighted, we suggested a few edits, and all edits were accepted, which thank DES for the help they gave me on this, to pass the message to the sponsors and the governor's office. So the main requirement, we have new requirements for new buildings constructed under the residential and non-residential state energy code that are adopted by the council by December 2034. So this is in addition to the 70% that we already have. Okay, 70% is 2031, and I will spend more time on these dates because they are important. And this is 2034, and it goes to 80%. And the new for us is currently we have a residential code, energy residential code is, that's it. The cities and counties cannot go more restrictive on it. The energy residential code is the minimum and maximum. And this gives another option. Cities and counties can adopt the energy residential code adopted by the council, or the REACH code, which I will talk about further, which will be or maybe an appendix to the energy code. So there are options. The REACH code is more restrictive. It goes directly to the requirements that buildings must meet by 2031. So we will have in the REACH code 2031 coming, like how many years? 9 years earlier. Okay. In section 4, there are some deleting some language, but the important part is that the Department of Commerce, I already mentioned the REACH code, the Department of Commerce shall develop a proposal covering the technical provisions of the REACH code. And the highlighted area, we added this and it was accepted again. So instead letting the council and the council staff preparing the cost benefit analysis, we will have this prepared by the Department of Commerce. So the Department of Commerce will be the proponent, will be the stakeholder proposing this. And I haven't seen a draft. I don't know if they are already working on it. Here is the effective date, July 1st, 2024. I will show you the proposed modifications so you can see what was changed. It was become effective here in 2031, which was kind of off because in 2030 code is effective 2032. So we gave the sponsors 2 options, and they decided to go with the adoption date. So 2030 code, energy code, must be adopted by December 1st, 2031. I can't guarantee it will stay, but this is in the substitute. The second one was adopted by the council by 2034, and because it's a little confusing, by 2034, does it mean January 2034 or December 2034? So we suggested this edit, and it was accepted. Here again, the date, it's 2031 here. We suggested 2030 because this is the year of the energy code. Again, 2030 energy code effective July 1st, 2032. And this is the last one that I mentioned, the rulemaking documents required by the RCW 3405-328. This is the Administrative Procedures Act, and the most complicated part of it is to prepare the cost benefit analysis. The bill, so the committee action, again, I'll keep the links updated, and also this we'll keep this on our website. So the link will, when you click on the link, you'll get to the main page on the LEDGE website. So you can follow if there is a Was there a question?
I'm not sure I'll use that as a highlight. Could you send that out to the whole group? I didn't look at that.
I think just the open mic here.
I'm waiting to see if anything happens at their legislative, SBCC is doing a legislative update right now. So
yeah, I'll be interested in that too. So I think,
Oh, okay. So I think it's on-site conversation.
Yep.
headline
Scott, your mic's on.
And then we want them to click on the link.
Scott
and
Peterson?
have whether it's their economist or their.
Scott, mic's on.
Look at the economic, initial economic.
Stoyan, do you or Ned have control of the mics?
Annette, can you help with that?
There we go.
Okay. The next, well, we passed 24, so it was referred to second review. I'm not aware of any hearing scheduled yet. So I don't, this is all the information I have.
Hey, Stoyan,
Yes,
sorry to
sir.
interrupt you. So that passed out of local government, does that, if it's back in rules, does that mean it's gonna go to energy and environment next, or?
This is my understanding, but I apologize in advance if I'm lying. It's unintentional. This is how I think it is.
Okay.
I will use this bill to show you so we have the cutoff calendar. This is a short session, so they don't have that much time. The first cutoff date is February 25th. Last day to read in committee reports in House of Origin. I'm sorry, Todd, again, this is what I think is going to happen, but I'm not sure. I'm learning this stuff as well. California operates differently. It's similar, but not the same.
Thank you.
So the fiscal impact is major for us. We are asking for 2 new positions. It's not only this bill, but it's a combination of a few bills. And Krista was struggling with the energy code, and she is still struggling with it. It's a time-consuming and too much work to complete the documents. And if we have to do the cost-benefit, that will need some we'll need some extra help. This is all I have for this bill. And if you have questions, I'll be glad to answer. We already discussed this several times, but sometimes I'm in a bad position because we don't have the council recommendation or direction. And first is the time frame, and second, the council, if give me a recommendation, the council needs to vote on it, and if there is not an agreement on something, then I'll be having a hard time to to introduce this opinion as a council opinion, because we have like 6 to 7, 6 to 5, those kind of things. The meetings we're having, if you want to react on something and give me some idea, at least technical suggestions or something, I'll try to reach out to the sponsors, or I'll ask DS for help to help me pass the message. But so far I testified only on one bill, and I will talk about this bill, green roof bill. I made it clear that I'm not sharing, I'm not representing the council there. I'm presenting technical issues with the bill. I spoke with few of you. So when we are discussing this bill, if you folks have something that will help me with the analysis, I'll appreciate it, and I will use it.
Okay, thank you, Stoyan. So does anyone on the council or joining from the public have anything to discuss here? This isn't a hearing, so we can have an open discussion.
Todd, this is Jim.
Yep, hi Jim.
Help me understand the reach code. Is that goes beyond, more stringent than the?
Yes, so the idea in this bill, and again, the Department of Commerce will be working on it if they haven't started. I don't know if I think they did start already. The reach code will be, I guess the idea is from California again, and the reach code is you have an appendix to the code that will be adopted by jurisdiction. It's a choice. So the jurisdiction where you live if they decide to use the reach code will have the requirements that the council needs to adopt by 2031. So it will be 1 or 2 steps above with compared to what we have in the energy code.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that.
So there was some conversation going on before this bill was introduced, whether or not the council needs to develop the reach code. There were several options, and I guess it was chosen to go with the Department of Commerce taking care of the development, and the council just to evaluate whatever we get as a proposal and take care of conflicts and evaluate the cost benefits, everything that the council does. It just the staff and the technical advisory groups won't be involved in the development of the language, but they will be evaluating the language.
Larry?
Sorry.
Larry, are you just waving? There we go.
There we go. But my question is on the reach code, when we want to do an analysis between the code we have, the code that's coming along, and what the differences would be and what the requirements would be. So we really know what we're really trying to reach for. That's my question.
Larry, I couldn't hear you. I don't know if it's on my side only or you're cutting off, and I couldn't hear the question.
Let me hook up another thing here.
Is this better?
Much better, thank you. Yes.
Yeah. My son's been trying to get me to use this wireless thing and it's a piece of crap. Anyway,
I understand. I have the same issues.
Okay. Anyway, the question I've got is on the reach code. I would think we should look at where we're going and the difference between where we're trying to reach to, so people would know what the reach code really means. That's not an easy process. I know that. But if we don't know, if we implement something that we don't know where we're going, then we're in the situation we're in now. Because most of us don't know where we're going, really. I mean, we got an idea, but we don't know really what it's going to take to get there. And there's many different ways to get there, but we're only taking one of the ways, it seems like, to us. But anyway, so that's what my thing is before we reach to a reach code, we need to know where we're trying to reach to.
My understanding, how I read this, is that the reach code, so currently we have a statutory mandate. The council has a statutory mandate to adopt energy standards by 2031 that will reach to 70% energy reduction compared to 2006. And this reach code will get you right there, but not in 2031 right now. You know, again, this is jurisdictions that will adopt it. It's not a statewide mandate. So whatever we have for the 70%, whatever the council, so the council goes on, you know, little steps, increments, right? And I'm still new. I started 1 year ago, but this process started before me, and every year we adopt a little more energy efficient standards, and the goal is we'll reach the 70% by 2031. And again, based on my understanding, how I read this bill, we can get there not in 30 with the reach code. We can get to the 70%, but not in 2031. We can get it now or 2024, whatever the reach code is adopted.
This is the option for a jurisdiction to jump.
This is an option for jurisdiction to jump, yes.
So yeah, thank you, Larry. That's a good point. Did Stoyan and the council decided, on all these, opted to monitor and inform last week. Do you feel it seems like they've accommodated your request, right? From the
Yes, everything I asked for.
so we'll just keep monitoring them, right?
So with this bill, I can provide some expertise or suggestions, but the sponsors are not required to take whatever I say.
You had a request for, I guess is more appropriate when it goes to appropriations. If you have the budget you need or the spending ability to accommodate this, but that can be handled down the road, right?
Yes, and I think yes, we have the fiscal note, and I was going to say I'm sure, but I'm not really 100% sure. But I assume this we are included in the governor's budget proposal.
Okay.
I had the bill 1 month ago, 1 month before it was introduced.
Yeah.
I had the draft, and the draft looked differently from what you see now. So Krista and I provided some comments and suggestions, and so far everything we asked for was accepted. Well, 95% I would say. But this is what we can do. We can't say this bill is good or this bill is not good. Mm-hmm. We don't have this authority, and nobody will listen anyway. So we try to make it work, specifying the adoption dates, and there were some other things like a few options were discussed. Department of Commerce adopting the REACH code and posting on the website, and the council just have a reference referring to the document, or having the REACH code as part of the energy code as an appendix, which each one has pros and cons, but the sponsor decided to use an appendix. The appendix is good for the council too, because we can coordinate and see if there are conflicts with other codes, because the energy code has coordination with the plumbing code, with the mechanical code, even with the building and residential code. So that is, in my personal opinion, is a better option, but it was chosen by the sponsors anyway. So
well, thank you. I think I'm starting to wrap my head around it. So thank you. Any other comments before we move on? Larry, I assume your hand is just still up, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sure how to take it down. Let me try it lower. Sorry. I can't see when my hand's up right now. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
He kept it up. He kept it up from the previous meeting.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you, Stein.
So the next one is 5793. It was introduced, and then the substitute was changed, most of it that was originally introduced. You see the sponsors. So the council, this bill authorized stipends and reimbursement of other expenses for eligible individuals participating in class 1 group. So this class 1 group is defined, and so in a summary, if we have council and technical advisor group members that are qualified as low income individuals, or individuals who have lived experience to support their participation, which I don't know how to translate that, but I'm just reading it. So these folks are qualified for up to $200 for each day. And the other thing is, if we have folks eligible for stipends, they are also eligible for allowances for childcare, lodging, and travel expenses. So this is the low income, 40%, 400% of the federal poverty level. The council doesn't have much to do currently with it, but if this bill moves forward and is adopted as a law, then the council needs to decide if we want to pay the money or not. There are some exceptions. For example, council and technical advisory group members that are employed with local, state, and federal government, and a few others. But I haven't provided any, well, I did the analysis, but I haven't provided any suggestions or anything. It's out of my hand. If it's approved, then we need to think about budget and whether or not, the council will allow this extra money for technical advisory group and council members. We have a fiscal note for that, but we couldn't specify, how many people are currently qualified because we just don't know. We don't have this information, and the other thing, again, it's important if the council will decide to pay this money. The next one is temporary emergency shelters. I had a meeting with one of the technical experts working on the bill. So this will require the council to adopt standards for temporary emergency shelters and make them available for local adoption. This is in addition to sections in the RCW section allowing cities and counties to adopt an ordinance or take any other action to require the creation of temporary emergency shelter communities. How it started. There is an appendix in California, which is emergency housing. And the idea of the sponsors was to use something similar here in California because there are folks that have shelters in California and they were having some issues here in Washington state to, construct or locate their shelters. The idea is to have this in an appendix, similar to California, although it won't be the same because in California, it was approved in 2016. And since then, many of these regulations that are in this appendix, they are already in the residential code. For example, the tiny houses and lofts, we already have those. So I don't expect this will move forward, but I will monitor it and we'll let you know if this changes. It's a difficult cookie to cook because we have two different groups. Some folks believe that, for homeless shelters, we need something, anything, just to let folks without homes to live somewhere. And other people believe that, we are discriminating against these folks if we, put them in shelters that don't meet the minimum building code requirements. So if we have to develop that, will be a little difficult to achieve, but based on my conversation, the last conversation I had with the technical folks working on the bill, they may modify it, and they're not sure they can do it on time for this session. So this bill may die, but it's still alive. This one is interesting. Increasing housing access and affordability by decreasing construction cost associated with the Washington State Energy Code for residential buildings. This was the original sponsor, and he was joined by these folks. So I will start the intent to encourage affordable housing in all areas of the state. Further, it clarifies that the intent is to balance the housing needs of its residents with the promotion of efficient and sustainable housing. So what does it mean in the bill? What is proposed? Some modifications to the language, some existing requirements, energy code requirements are deleted, and delays implementation of 2021 Washington State Energy Code. The council may not increase, but may decrease the energy efficiency requirements in the 2021 Washington State Energy Code for residential structures. So it targets residential, and it goes totally opposite from the first bill that we were talking about. So the first bill is intended to increase efficiency, energy efficiency, and this bill is intended to increase the affordability of the buildings. So I haven't updated so I don't know if it passed the committee. I haven't heard any hearing either. Policy operational impact. I have this bill as major and the first one as major. You know, both bills go in different directions. So I don't think both bills will be approved, one or another. I'm assuming the first one, but it's a personal assumption. But either one will require some extra effort by staff and technical advisory groups and the council, because each one has different provisions. So this bill, we need to scratch everything we have, and we need to start writing the language from zero. And the other one, we are just increasing the energy efficiency. So both bills will require more effort and more money, I guess, and time.
I want to welcome Shell. Perfect timing. Just joined us. Shell, we're currently going over what was the bill again, Stoyan? You're probably tracking this. On the Senate side,
5928.
that would try to scratch the 2021 efforts. Anyway, just getting you up to speed.
Okay, questions for this bill?
I don't think we didn't discuss this in particular at the council.
No, we didn't. It came like the same day.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it, but I didn't have it. I didn't have it in the log.
I mean, it's one I would think the tag and the MV would have a strong opinion on, but.
Well, I mean, we work at the appointment of the governor and with direction by the legislature. So if the legislature directs us to not do an energy code, I don't know what we have to say about that. At a personal level, I would strongly, disagree with the idea that we don't need an energy code or we don't need to advance it. But the legislature tells us what to do. So I don't know what we say. Technically, it's feasible to not have an energy code or to not do anything on the energy code. So from a technical standpoint, I can't say that it's impossible to do what they're asking. But
I agree, Shell. I'm just raising the point for everyone that we as a council chose to monitor and inform this session, but we didn't discuss this bill. So the assumption is that's all we can do anyway, because we're not going to meet for another 3 weeks.
Again, this one arrived like the day at the meeting, and I didn't have it in the log that was posted on the website. I talked a little bit about it, but didn't have it in the log. And The direction from the council for the council staff is to stay neutral, and we try to, we can't say it's a good bill or bad bill. We try to provide technical expertise on, specific sections of the bill, but we can't, provide testimony based on, we oppose or we like the bill. So we try to be Switzerland on that one. There are two bills going on, 1774, and the companion bill is in the Senate, 5722, reducing greenhouse gas emissions in building. So it's a lot here, but not much for the council to do. I don't know what else. I don't know if some of you is monitoring this bill. There are some new definitions here. Tier 1 covered building and tier 2 covered building. So I guess this will add a little bit more to the requirements, and there are some incentives here, but this is Department of Ecology and Department of Commerce. So the State Building Code Council is not directly affect the council business, but we will be monitoring the bill if something comes up. Green roofs. Senator Das is the main sponsor of this bill. It requires the council to adopt rules for green roof and some solar requirements. Currently, the bill, how it's written is, you need to have green roof on 70% of the roof area. It mandates 5-year maintenance plan for green roof projects. It refers to to rating systems, and it has a lot in this bill that I don't know how the council can do all of this, but specifies the green roof projects must be designed to facilitate inspection by local authorities. So it's a maintenance inspection that is a part of the bill. So it provides an option. For example, if you don't have enough area, enough space on the roof, if you have mechanical equipment or something, you apply for exemption, and the owner needs to pay $50 per square foot. It provides some details about account open to receive the money collected from the cash in lieu, and also requires the Washington State Institute for Public Policy to conduct a cost-benefit analysis for smaller buildings. So this one is for roof area more than 50,000 square feet, and the study is for 10,000 to 50,000. The requirements are for roofs up to 12 degrees slope. We provided, I provided the testimony yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? I had 2 meetings with Senator Dawes and her staff. We asked for instead 70%, 50%, and I clarified that the number is not based on any research. It's just the energy code has more equipment that goes to the roof, and it's not the same percentage for different types of buildings. So you have taller buildings with less roof, and you have buildings that are fat, but they have more in the area. So I mean, I didn't have any other technical expertise to provide. I'm not specialist on this. Chell is, I think, much more knowledgeable than me, but I tried to do my best. The other thing we asked for was to clarify the dates and make the adoption date to align with the 2024 code adoption cycle. Our rationale for that was that, in this case, the council will have more time and the business will have more time to get familiar with the requirements. What else? We also suggested that this is an appendix to the code. It's still unclear what is the code that we can locate this, because there are provisions that belong to different codes. For example, the structural provisions are in the building code. There are some electrical provisions for solar panels. There should be some for the plumbing code, in the plumbing code. So it's still unclear. And I stated that the council doesn't have authority to require local jurisdictions to do maintenance inspections and to charge money for the roofs, or take care and maintain accounts for the local jurisdictions, or oversee how the local jurisdictions are, spending the money.
Yeah, so you mentioned me, and I the energy code gets a lot of flack for adding a few dollars a square foot to a construction project every cycle, and as you said, we need more area for air source heat pumps and that kind of thing on the roofs of buildings. And so 70% is a real high bar. A lot of our buildings have much less than that available for green roofs or solar panels or anything else. So, you're tacking on more cost to buildings if they have to pay the $50 in lieu. And I think it's adding a lot of cost that, we also have a direction for the energy code to get better, and that does have some cost to it. And so I think this is contradicting that in some way by adding cost to projects. Right. So let's say more, but that's it.
I attended the meeting yesterday. Senator Das was the organizer with there were I think one or two lobbyists, pros and cons, and some technical experts, and she said that she's willing to listen and modify the bill, and she will try to incorporate the suggestions, but she didn't promise to incorporate everything, because some folks were completely against it. So I'm assuming the bill, the substitute will look much different.
To respond to that, I think the way Seattle does, as an architect, we look at what is the actual intent of things, and the intent of this bill probably has to do with biophilia, but also probably has to do with stormwater, and potentially and also explicitly heating and cooling of buildings. The stormwater component is probably the most important, and the way Seattle has done it is they have 11 steps you have to go through before you get to the end of what you have to do or not have to do. It's a much more nuanced and much more flexible system, and if it's much easier to go through that and figure out the right thing to do from a stormwater perspective than having a more prescriptive requirement like this. So I would urge that kind of flexible approach, as opposed to put a green roof on it or solar panels.
I may have the draft of the bill of the substitute to review, and I can't have it for all council members because the next meeting is far away. But I can talk to a few of you, and if you can provide me with some technical expertise, I'll try to include that.
Okay.
Larry has his hands.
My question's a clarification of a green roof. So is that a roof with grass and plants on it? Or is that photovoltaic across the whole roof and that's a green roof? Or is it a little of both here?
It's a little of both. The bill has a table with different percentage. It's a photovoltaic, and it has a green roof, and it has green/blue, and there are definitions. There are definitions for all of these different types of roofs. So Larry, if you click on that link here, it will give you, it will lead you to the Ledge webpage, and you just need to find the original. There is another link there, so you can, take a look.
So green and blue is actually plants on the roof, right? Is that where?
There are some plants on the roof, yes.
Okay.
So it specifies, different percentage, different plants, vegetables, grass, whatever. So there is information. I didn't include everything in the summary.
Okay, thanks.
Uh, 1971. So I'm glad, Tony. I don't want to put you on the hot spot. This one was the discussion was going on for a long time, and we had some issues with, if you remember, HB 2701. If I'm saying the correct number, there were some issues with the implementation and enforcement. This bill was trying to fix it. Again, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not really familiar with the work that was happening, but reading the new, and I will share personal opinion here. Reading the bill, it helps a little bit, but it creates different issues. For example, new section requiring State Building Code Council to provide rules or amend codes by December 31, 2022 to require periodic testing plans for smoke control systems and so on. So I'll use this as an example, but we already closed the fire code. It's posted for the proposals are posted for public hearings. If we have to do something with this bill, there are options we can do it, but it will be difficult to start process. So most likely will require off cycle rule making, or we need to think something to fit it in the existing rule with the current rule. So Tony, you're the technical expert. If you can add something to it. Again, I wasn't following the development of this bill, so I'm not sure how the language was put together.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to get my email up here from Karen.
Hey, Tony Stoyan, I'm sorry to interrupt. I've got to go deal with something on the floor. Can I hand, Jim, are you the vice chair? You sign up?
I believe I did.
All right, well, I'll hand it off to you then.
You just got promoted.
You just got promoted.
Can't wait to see that on my check.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Todd.
So I don't think that's the one I'm looking for. Give me one sec here. Here we go. So this is from about a week and a half ago. This year's bill retains the emphasis on effective smoke control and dampener regulation, but moves the RCW language closer to the model code in a variety of areas, including personnel qualifications, citations and enforcement, and testing requirements from the building code and fire code. And so I know that the testing requirements was kind of a big sticking point. Then the bill also refers the matter to SBCC to confirm or modify and codify, and has the RCW language sunset at the time that SBCC acts. This allows the detailed regulations to be removed from the RCW in the future and handled exclusively in building code and fire code plus WAC. And I think the idea there is instead of it being, governed completely by legislative mandate, then it goes through the, the tags and that process like we see already. And those are the big things that I think are the positive changes. As far as the timeframes, Stoyan, as far as the administrative processes that we're allowed to follow right now, I don't imagine it's anything we can do in the group 2 code cycle. Are you thinking that there's not enough time for that as far as that one date on there?
No, because we already, well, we can think about something, but if we follow the standard process, so the fire code is already posted for public hearings. And if we want to add something, then we need to have, time for public hearings, testimony, collect comments. So there is an option, as I said, if we add something in group 2, but I don't know. This group 1 and group 2 is new for me, so I don't know how it will fit in the current schedule.
My thought is that since we're doing the WUI in the group 2, it sounds like it might be a little unorthodox, but if we could do something in the group 2 cycle for this, then but at the end of the group 2 cycle, we still have to go through all the public hearing for everyone going through group 2. And so are we allowed to add something with the fire tag into the group 2? And I understand what you're saying as far as the document being complete, but so I guess it would be in addition to. If not, then that's something that if it's off cycle rulemaking, then if that's what we classify it as, then when can we start that? And I guess that would be after the, all of the legislative session and all that stuff. So I don't know what the time frame would look like, but is your concern that the one date, because the other one looks like it's for the next cycle, but
the other one is okay, yes.
Yeah, so scroll up a little bit. Was it? I can't remember where that date was.
The other one is
December 31st.
December 31st, 2023. So that one will be also off cycle.
Okay.
We can discuss the details. I mean, if it gets approved, we need to. The schedule is really tight for group 2, and I didn't want to run it as an additional rulemaking because I don't know how to fit the meetings. But let's follow, and see if the bill gets approved, so we can get together and see if we can fit it into the group 2. Again, this is group 1, group 2 business is new for me, so I. As far as I said, if we can keep the fire code open and add, so we can discuss the details. But
okay,
I'll keep it on my watch.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Stein. Appreciate it.
Is there anything else on this particular one?
I don't. I put right here policy operational impact. This is where I put some concerns. Again, the implementation date in section 1 difficult to meet. This will require off-cycle rulemaking within a regular adoption process. We already talked about it, so we will see if we have legal options to work it out and include it in group 2. But I don't have the answer yet. I need more time to. Again, I'm little. Group 1, group 2. I've never done it this way, and it seems like it's a new procedure for you as well. The next one, 2049, encouraging construction of affordable housing by eliminating redundancies and streamlining the permitting process. So what it says is it was introduced last year and it's reintroduced, little modified. What is the important part is that building permit applications submitted by or signed by professional engineers or architects shall be deemed complete by the city or county building department. So what it says is you get plans from a licensed engineer or licensed architect, and you need to approve it. I know there are different opinions about that. It doesn't really impact the State Building Code Council. It may impact, the administrative process and operation of local building departments.
Is this did this one get adjusted, Stein, from last year? Because this was on the table last year, wasn't it?
Yes, a little bit, but not much.
Really? Okay.
So the language is different, but the intent is the same.
Okay.
I mean, this has been going on for 4 years, not only in Washington, it's everywhere. I guess design professionals believe that if they have the license and they are reliable, they don't need the building department to plan check them. And the building department always finds mistakes in these plans, and the building departments think otherwise. So it's something like the egg and the chicken.
I guess from the architect viewpoint, often our clients would like us to design things that are in the gray areas of the code, and sometimes suggest that we do things that are more towards the darker part of the gray areas, and building officials provide a neutral third party that can make those conversations happen more easily about what does the code actually say versus not. So I think from the architect viewpoint, we need to tread very carefully if we are saying that that an architect stamp plan or an engineer stamp plan is inherently perfect. As we often say, we're not paid enough to design a perfect set of plans. It could be done, but it would require much more fee than we get. So it's at least I appreciate having a third party provide a review of the plans to make sure that they meet the intent of the code and not just the letter of the code.
Larry, you got your hand up there?
Yeah. What I'd have a problem with is it says a licensed engineer or an architect. I would think you would need both of those there, stamps of both of those qualified people to get a plan to go through, because each one has its own professional ability, and to say engineers or architects, I mean, each one has their own specialty, and by a very minimum, you'd want both of those stamps on that print, I would think.
Completely agree that certainly an architect insurance wouldn't cover us stamping a structural set of plans.
Right.
Or even, yeah.
You see, so I think that's a fatal flaw in this thing right off the bat.
I included something similar in, the bill analysis. So we do the bill analysis and then goes to DS, and DS follows up and send the message, whatever it is. But I mean, if we start digging into this, you have structural engineer designing the structural provisions, and you also need somebody to do the means of egress or accessibility. So that's. But we are neutral on that. I provided some comments, and I don't know how many of these comments will get to the sponsors. Okay, and that was the last one. I know you like listening to me, but unfortunately, it's the last one. Again,
don't-
if you have suggestions and you need different format and you want me to do something, let me know. It doesn't need to be on a meeting, just call me, email me, and again, it's a short session and everybody's under fire, including myself, jumping from bill to bill. I try to keep the council neutral, but again, I will repeat it. If you give technical expertise, and it will help me. Some bills I feel I'm knowledgeable enough to provide suggestions, but I was struggling with the green roof. Chell mentioned the size, so I researched it a little bit before I felt what the reason for that is. I understand it now, but my point is sometimes I have one day to analyze the bill and I don't have enough time to research it. So any feedback from you will be really appreciated.
And Stoyan, I do not have the agenda up. Unless there's further discussion here.
I will show the agenda. The next on the agenda is other business.
Business. Is there any other business that needs to be brought forth? Any other business from the committee or public? Well, hearing none, looks like adjournment's next.
Everyone have a good day.
Thank
you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, Stoyan, for everything. We'll see you all later.
Thank you very much. Bye.